Sometimes with long-running shows, one episode can completely recontextualize the whole thing. This is one of those episodes. So far, we've kind of vibed with the idea that the theme of the show is fight for your desires. You gotta be willing to put yourself on the line to get what you want, all that kind of stuff. However, this episode really focuses, deepens, and expands on just what that can ultimately mean. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gateway to Geats. Oh boy, there's a lot of stuff this episode. And I wrote these notes when I was a little tired, so let's see how this goes. No beating around the bush this episode. Because this episode changes a lot of things. We ended last episode with the confrontation with the bad guys, and Geats is super fan. Like, he just showed up and he's like, "Yo, what's up?" He fights them a little bit. He uses gravity powers. That's a cool effect, really useful in plot, but also like just looking at it aesthetically, it seems relatively cheap to pull off. Like they're not doing a bad job of doing it. It looks pretty good. And they fight, but Baroba gets away with the belt. Oh no, everything's going to shit. Intro, back. The DGP is in disarray. Ace is just asking what's going on, and everyone's just like, what the fuck's going on? And they give as bare minimum answers as they can to get their point across. Keiwa is concerned about the danger. It's just like, this is bad, right? Meanwhile, Baroba just straight up tells Buffa and Nedge just all the information. It's just like, here you go. I don't give a fuck. And it's interesting that the bad guys are like being more forthcoming with the information in comparison to the DGP. Keiwa and Neon go talk to their sponsors. Well, Neon talks to her sponsor. Keiwa goes talk. He gets a pep talk and he gets a new power up. And he's just like, yeah, you can do it. You can be a hero, all that kind of stuff. Neon gets a power up herself in a letter that says like, oh, you can fight for your dreams and all that kind of stuff. And the good guys go to attack the Jumato area to get back the Game Master belt because that's important. Baroba tries to use the Game Master belt to get to the goddess of creation. Doesn't work that way. You need to. She's like, well, I'll just destroy shit, you know. So we have a couple fun fight scenes. We have Ace teaming up with his superfan, Jin, Z-I-I-N, Zine. I want to say Zine, but it's like Zine. That sounds like the most right. Zine. Zine and Ace team up. It's a fun little fight. It's really cool, especially considering that he's much more based off of like Silver Foxes, and Ace is much more based off of like traditional Kitsune. So like it's a fun little dichotomy of Fox and stuff, both steeped in their symbolism and all that kind of jazz, and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Keiwa and Neon are fighting on their own. They're doing their own thing, and they're kind of like, they're coming to some understandings of themselves and each other. And then Baroba shows up, and Ace keeps fighting bad guys while Zine talks to Baroba. And that's when we get the big drop, where basically Baroba just comes out and says, oh, come on, we're from the future. And like, oh, the DGP, the sponsors, Jumato, they are all from a far-flung future and are reusing and are using the past for entertainment. Holy shit. That changes so much of what's been going on. It recontextualizes everything. Just how does all the desire stuff works? Was this always the plan? Do they know these people and their desires and just know that they're able to accomplish it anyway? So them playing in the DGP is nothing? Are they, because they're so far in the future, that they're able to change the past to make it what they need without changing anything realistically? You know? Like, was them being part of the DGP part of the future entirety? this could also explain why Ace seemingly comes from the past, has that Roman coin, and is, like, seemingly long-lived. He isn't that long-lived. He's a normal person. Because they say, oh yeah, the DGP picks different time periods and does the games in there, and we broadcast it in the future as entertainment. What if, because one of the first ones that Geats has won is he is allowed entry in every single DGP. He is allowed entry into every game. What if he won his first one and says, I want to keep continuing, because he's looking for his mom and he doesn't know any of the shit. So every time they go to a new time period, they have to bring him along because he has to be an entry into the games. So he just keeps getting reset, but he only has the vague memories of his mom and this coin. Like, that's why he has these, like, he knows certain things, but he doesn't know himself. Could that be it? I don't know. We're gonna deep into lore and plot and all that kind of jazz this episode. But that could explain why Ace is seemingly immortal, you know? And it could also be involving Geats' mom. Ace's mom, it's like, could she be from the future? And she just fraternized with the past and he's like a weird little mistake or something. Could she be someone from the past that was just part of the game and died herself and just can't be brought back? Here's the thing, we also have time travel. Could Ace's mom be someone we have met just further along in their timeline? Could Ace's mom be Tsumuri or Neon? Could they? I'm not saying they are, but time travel's on the table now. It could be anything, right? Also, here's a thought. They're from the far, far future. What if our sponsors are descendants of our players? And that's why they want them to win, because it's like, oh man, my great-grandpappy's fucking fighting in this thing. I want him to do good. Go at it, grandpappy. You know, could that be why some sponsors are doing this? Like, because that's like, I wouldn't say it's like a one-to-one thing, but Frog Dude, who sponsors KWA, is very adamant of like, you are the good guy here, you are a hero, you are trying to do the right thing, I believe in you, you just need help. Like, so many little things that could be in play here, now that we understand that it's in the future, and not just, oh, it's from alternate dimensions. Like, okay, so they're from the future. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just seeing this comparison as like a concept. Remember Den-O? And Den-O, the genie characters are from the future, the Jin, and they travel back to the past. What if these guys are like the Jin? What if these guys are like Momotaro from Den-O and are just fucking weird? That's just an idea, whatever. But them being from the future also recontextualizes the themes and stuff, because we thought it was just fighting for the world you want, all that kind of stuff, right? Fight for what you want. But now, with the whole future element, it does become fighting for your future. Are your desires that long lasting for what you want? Because, like, Gaywall wants world peace. That's gonna be a thing for the future. That's not just him, that's for eternity. And Neon wants something, I wouldn't say superficial, but she wants something more here and immediate. What does your desires mean to the concept of humanity's future? You know? And ultimately, how does your desires line up with people who will know how history turns out? Like, they don't care about the individual player's desire because they know how history kind of comes out. Maybe that's also why they haven't been worried about, like, all the fucking assholes who come in and go, like, I want this desire, I want everybody to die. Because they don't have to worry about it. They know how history turns out. They know that this isn't bullshit, right? So many questions that can be asked. So many, like, I wouldn't say I'm going to go back and rewatch those episodes, but knowing this now completely recontextualizes a lot of that stuff, and it's a fascinating little turn that they bring about in this episode right before right before the big thing that happens, Baroba just decides to spin around to fucking Freebird and just bomb the area that they're all in. We don't know how our heroes turned out. We don't see any of it. We just see the end where she's just cackling to herself. Jesus Christ. Damn. This is a really good episode of Geats. This is really fucking good. It changes so much of what we know about the show, so much of what we've seen of the show. Holy shit. Like, going into the future, because this is going to be like the big, like, oh, you got to talk about the twist of Geats whenever you talk about Geats from now on. This is going to like recontextualize everyone's first viewing of it into the future whenever someone binges it. It's, oh boy, this is, I wouldn't say this is to the level, but it's kind of like a similar vibe of the Fight Club twist, you know? Completely recontextualizes everything we've seen so far, and it really kind of paints an interesting picture. Like, could Ace getting his mom, like finding his mom, could that be the one thing that could jeopardize the future? You know? That's interesting. It's like, are the desires of man worth nothing to the passage of time? And that's why you can give these fuckers anything they want, so long as, because like, on the long scheme of it all, nothing matters. Like, that's interesting. That's fascinating. But you know what's also fascinating? All the people who leave wonderful, wonderful, wonderful comments onto my videos. First things first, Vacuuminator, let's split it down the middle. I'll pay you $5. See, last week, he made a bet of $10 that something would happen, and it didn't. And I joked, it's like, oh, what's he gonna do? He said, pay me $5. This motherfucker actually sent me $5. What the fuck, dude? Why? I mean, I appreciate it. You're being a fucking funny friend, but dude, come on. This mad lad actually sent me $5. Slime Beast 2003. I think Jean is cool. I also hope Buffa changes his mind about working with the Yamato, because I felt like it's not something he'd do if he was in the right mind. Also, I don't know what my desire is, and even if it did, I wouldn't tell you, I don't think. You know what? That is fair. I'm just some weirdo guy on the internet who looks like a little robot who talks about Kamen Rider and One Piece. I just made a video about One Piece. Here you go. So yeah, totally fair, understandable. Jean is cool. I think he's grown on me as a character. He's not my favorite guy. Keiwa still my boy, but Jean is cool. Buffa feels very complicated. You know, like, he has been given info that we don't know, that I feel like explains his action, especially now that we have at least a little bit of the context of from the far future of like, oh, that probably doubled down his belief that Kamen Rider should just go away. It's like, oh, we're just a dumb game for entertainment. Yeah, no, this is bullshit. People are getting hurt. Let's stop this. Like, I think it justifies him more for wanting to stop this whole thing. Like, it's, I hate Kamen Riders, but also I hate people getting hurt as Kamen Riders, I think, is the deeper subtext of Buffa's motivation, which I think is fascinating. From good friend of the channel, of the things, Fish Pop. Hello, Fish Pop. I think you were saying in the video, but perhaps the DGP as a way of manifesting your desires through your own means rather than being magically granted to you. Also, you didn't mention how the Yamato lady seemed to transform into something large that terrified the GM. Well, we know what she transformed into. A big goth girl. You know? Just like the internet loves big goth girls. And with the future stuff, it kind of reveals just how they kind of see the whole desire thing. They're in the far enough future, it doesn't matter. Like, they got time travel. They can probably muck with the past to get you where you want. But also, like, maybe you were already destined to get what you want because you're already fighting as a Kamen Rider to get what you want. You would fight for your desires in general and accomplish your goals. So maybe the DGP is just like a shitty middleman. Like, you were already gonna get your desires, and now we're just like faking a like life or death situation to make it seem like you won't get your desires. Like there's something interesting there. Next up from Esconde. Tsunami criticized Gyori's way of running DGP as old-fashioned, but the latter was the GM who saw how threatening the Jimato could be. In a way, it feels fitting that Tsunami falls into making the same mistakes Gyori did, stepping into the field as Glare and getting blindsided by the play of a party he didn't expect. From the way he looked up at Baroba after her implied transformation, whatever she turns into has to be huge. While Keiwa was used for jokes again in this episode, I'm really glad our hero continued to show his growth by figuring out it was Neon, and not reacting angrily, too. Love that the smile Ace showed when Keiwa put the pieces together. Like, I like to think that it's his way of showing he's proud of him. And of course, Jean does the same finger snap Ace does. I expect nothing less of a superfan. It's a weird suit, but it's grown on me. People pointed out that looking at his helmet from the side and the angle resembles Geats' helmet, and I think that's really neat. The parallels between Gyori and Shimari are interesting. Like, considering all the information we have in this episode, it might also reflect of just how the future staff attitudes are to people in the past, similar to like how we view older humans from like past civilizations of like, oh, such weird, backward people. They were just people. They were just working with the information they had. It feels very kind of like, these ants don't know what they're doing. I gotta fucking put my hands in the dirt. Oh no, there's ants all over my hands kind of thing, you know? It's a weird suit, Jean's suit is, but considering how that vibe is now consistent with the sponsors, considering how we see Baroba, I mind it a lot less. I think it fits. I think having 3 distinct visual languages for the suits really kind of differentiates the different parties that are involved. We have the players who have their suits, we have the staff who have their suits, and now we have the sponsors who have their suits. It makes it feel more cohesive. I like that kind of cohesiveness. That's the kind of thing that I wouldn't say took me out of Kamen Rider for a bit, but is the thing that kind of like look at some seasons and go like, where there's a lot less visual consistency. No, I like there to be a visual leitmotif with some of the with like the like writers of the same vibe. Like a great example I can give is Xade. Every Xade writer has the big cartoon eyes, the gamepad chest, and some variation of like bright, like colored belt, you know? Like they are distinctly, they look like an Xade writer. In a similar vein, I would also say, what was the other one? There was another one. For all those slack I'll give Geats, every Geats writer looks like a Geats, Gaiam. Every Gaiam writer looks like a Gaiam writer, you know? Like, there are certain, and I don't mind if, like, there's only 2 writers and they look completely different, like, double, that's fine, because they're 2 different writers. They're 2 different, completely different things, but if you're dealing with, like, a writer system, like Gaiam, like Xade, like Geats, like, that kind of thing, I think I like there to be a visual cohesiveness, you know? And that's just me. I know not everybody feels the same way. I just like that, you know? And finally, from Sakura Tora, Ace's wishes have all been towards finding his mother investigating the DGP. So in your example, I think he first wanted that instant gratification, but now is taking the time and effort to make his desires come true. Participating in the DGP till he dies is self-explanatory, I think. For his Stars of the Stars, where he hoped she'd notice him, which, if she was free or around, would have with his face and coin she gave him plastered all over the world with VTVs and billboards. The DGP as a family was to get closer to how the DGP is run, and when he found out being part of the staff of the DGP wouldn't cut it, he learned that from Pump Check. Being too low means you don't know anything. He then changed his wish to become the GM. If he becomes the GM, he'd have access to the belt, which allows him to access the God's creation. It's a clever way because 1, he doesn't sacrifice that part of himself if he loses, and 2, the DGP and everyone watching doesn't know his true intention. H&S, Heads and Shoulders, Hide and Seek. I still think Ace is trying to figure out how it is ran, And now that he knows this all the future stuff, it's like, oh, okay, cool. He knows his plan now. He's like, oh, I know everything. Cool, I can figure this whole thing out. But the future stuff does throw a wrench in it. Like, he has to replan everything, but like now he knows like the truth. He can plan. And like I said earlier, could his mom be from the future? Is she from the past? When is his mom from? Could it? Oh, holy shit! I just realized he could never see his mom because his mom doesn't exist because she's from the future. She's not there, so she doesn't exist yet. That's why he can't see her. Holy shit. Okay. If that comes out to be true, if that's why that whole thing works, point people here. I said it first. But also, could they not meet his desire because, like, he's already met his mom? Like I said, like, could we have already met his mom just at a younger state? There's so many questions, even though we just got a big fucking answer. Why do you do this to us, Geats? And yes, oh my fucking god, it was hide and seek. That's what I fucking meant, and I hate myself for it. It was the idea that hide and seek was a cute thing for them to do. God damn it. So yeah, no. Thank you everyone who are watching this. Gateway to Geats. Hey, if you like this video and you want many, many more, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, because it'll help me out, it'll help you out. Yeah. If you also want, you can check out my social media platforms, all the links to those in the descriptions, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and so many more. Check out my last vid. It is a long look at One Piece film Gold, where I look at the themes and elements. It's really fun. I enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoy watching it. Till then, bye-bye.